So the great thing about a story when you get engaged in it is that you can't wait to see what happens. What's great about this for futurists is that unlike a snapshot of what things will be like in the future, something that's static and that you're not sure how you got to it, stories give you time. They give you unfolding. And if you think about the future as a story, you realize that in order to get to that end that you can't wait to get to, you also have to figure out the coherent story of how you got there. So stories are great, they're fun, they're engaging, they're also serious business. If you are in the business of trying to figure out how to make a better future for a community or a state or an organization, if you tell it as a story, you have to figure out what plausibly happened to get us to the future, to the end of the story, or the next chapter of the story that we want to be in. How do our characters behave? How is our stage set? How does it unfold? We have this myth of the storyteller, perhaps, as the person who tells the story to an audience that just absorbs it. We know from literary theory, we know from psychology, we know from science, that people who listen to the story actually recreate it in their minds. So storytellers and story listeners are actually part of a dialogue, whether that's a book and a reader or an actual live engagement. So take that metaphor and think about the fact that all stories are co-constructed, and take it into social space and realize that nobody owns the unfolding story of anything that is public or collective. So that's powerful. You can actually use that to make things participatory, and you can't just give it lip service, because whether you want to or not, others are going to create your story with you.
Yes.
So you can create a palatable, strong environment where people are invited in, and you realize that there are competing visions, competing stories, and that those have to be reconciled.
Yeah.
Or you can pretend that it's not really there and tell a slightly authoritarian story, and then what you can do is sit back and wait for the pushback, because it will come.
It's interesting because there's a lot of focus on storytelling, it seems, in digital media now, but what I hear from you is story listening is actually just as important maybe for the dance of co-creative story development.
That's a great way to put it. It
Yeah.
really is a dance.